Well, all right, let's talk about JJ McCarthy here. Hey, how about JJ McCarthy having a bounce back game? You know, a guy who's been very inconsistent to start the season, was having kind of stringing together a couple of rough performances. So seeing him, admittedly against a very bad defense, but still seeing him look much better in this game has to make you feel better if you're a Vikings fan at this point. Still 4 games left on the season to see what he has. Let's talk about what he had in this one. So first play you see on the screen, this is what you kind of were hoping you'd see more of this season from the Vikings. It's just like a well schemed up play. So it's zone coverage. There's 2 eligible receivers to McCarthy's left since there was a receiver in motion to the right. You have a receiver and a tight end. Receiver's going to get more of the attention, so you try to flip the tight end kind of out into the flat. Watch as McCarthy takes the snap, and you see Hawkinson, that's the tight end. He is definitely open, and quite frankly, this is just not very good defense by the Commanders. They should be rotating and getting a player to cover Hawkinson. There's only 2 guys there. Commanders got to cover those 2 guys, but ultimately for McCarthy, he reads the play well, gets the ball over there. They're able to pick up a nice, easy completion, and that's what we saw more of in this game. It is weirdly, even though I think we kind of all viewed this as an awesome situation to go into for McCarthy, it hasn't been that every game he's played. There have been games where you weren't getting these types of plays, so to get these types of plays back certainly helps. And again, part of that is just, hey, playing the Seahawks and the Packers, that makes things tough. And even the Bears have, had a scrappy defense. So, and honestly, even the Ravens the week before have been an up and down defense. So it's maybe it's, while we can sit here and say this was just the Commanders, also they kind of have been playing some tough defenses too. That should be a factor. A play like this too, this was to cap off the opening drive. I guess that's a spoiler alert that this is either going to be a touchdown or a turnover. You see right here, the way this concept works is you have, again, 2 eligible receivers towards the offense's left. McCarthy takes the snap, and again, the receiver closest towards the sideline, the eligible receiver closest towards the sideline, getting the extra attention. The safety and the player covering the flat, paying attention there, meaning that there is a bit of a window now for McCarthy before you get to those players over the middle. But look at this throw from McCarthy. That's a quick throw, gets it there in a hurry, well-timed, well accurate, and they're able to get a touchdown right there. So definitely give him some credit for a play like that. That's not the easiest throw for a quarterback to make, for especially a young quarterback to make, but he was able to do it there. And listen, going over to something like this, again, I think part of what you want from JJ McCarthy is you hope that he can get, it's 2 things, right? You hope that he can get to the point where he can just run the offense the way Sam Darnold could last year, but also Darnold was able to make some plays when a play broke down last year that you're kind of hoping that McCarthy can do as well. This is a 3rd down and 6. McCarthy's going to take the snap and, kind of an exotic pressure look, although it was picked up nicely by Minnesota. McCarthy's looking over the middle. Again, he could maybe try and hit Naylor underneath. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but ultimately, watch what he does instead. Look, is very calm, even when he's in his own end zone, is able to find a way to navigate, and he dives forward, picks up the 1st down on that play. That's a good play from JJ McCarthy, right? These are the kind of things you want to see him be able to do, and he was able to do it there. Obviously, people, when they're talking about McCarthy, are going to mostly talk about, can he run an offense, because that's you're not going to work if you can't run an offense, right? But at the same time, you do also want to see him be able to do this stuff. If he does figure out how to run an offense, you're going to have to be able to do this as well, and he was able to do that. Now, I will say, small note here, this is one of those things that drives me crazy watching this, and I get it's easier from a fan's perspective watching the broadcast footage than the quarterback's perspective, but nonetheless, McCarthy is going to take the snap, double team on the pressure on the edge rusher who is towards the bottom of the screen, allows for McCarthy to get outside the pocket. Good protection there. You see here, not a lot's open down the field. Okay, this is fine. This is such a small thing, but watch as he's going to try and run here and ends up losing a couple of yards. I would have much preferred him to throw the football away there. And there's reasons why you don't love to throw the football away. The biggest disadvantage in doing something like that is if one of your offensive linemen is downfield, it can be a penalty, whereas if you run, it's not a penalty. So if it's going to be a wash, well, then you just run out of bounds. It's worth it. Even maybe losing a yard can sometimes make it worth it. But ultimately, in this situation, if it's a penalty, they're going to decline the penalty, and it's going to be a 3rd down and 7 anyway. So just throw the football away, because the penalty wouldn't come with a loss of downs, so you're often going to get it declined anyway. Again, he probably thought he was going to make a man miss. He doesn't get the yellow line on the field the way we do, or the blue line on the field in this case the way we do. Still, something you'd like to see him do a better job of. It's not a big deal. I'm not saying it is. Just bringing it up, small thing that, if it's film study with him, it's what I'd go over. Also, heading over to this play, this is kind of the good and the bad of McCarthy right now. So you see it's a 3rd down and 8 situation. You have a receiver who's going to kind of try and get underneath the corner who is down the field. That's the way this is supposed to work. This is Jordan Addison running the route. McCarthy takes the snap. He's going to look, and there is definitely a window. Really well ran route by Jordan Addison. So for McCarthy, as long as he can make a nice throw, and Addison can hang on for the grab, this will be a completion. That's what happens. They get the completion, able to move the sticks, all that good stuff. That's what you're trying to do for the for that type of play. So that's the good side of it. Is McCarthy seems like he can, for the most part, be effective in those situations. I know he's missed some throws earlier this year, but at least in this game, he was doing a good job. But obviously, heading over to something like this is kind of the downside. I do feel like, and this is kind of common for young quarterbacks, but it is the thing right now where he's still essentially at the whim of how the offense is called. The route you see on the screen, this is now TJ Hawkinson running the route, and watch what happens. McCarthy takes the snap. This time, the Commanders a little bit more over it. It's a 3rd and 8 again. So, hey, they remember the last 3rd and 8, are aware of a potential out route. You'd be aware of it anyway in this situation. And watch as defensive back jumps it, nearly has the pick right there. So there is a bit of that, which is just like, for Kevin O'Connell, his job just becomes a lot more important. Like, you don't have a quarterback who's going to say, I don't love that because I can see the corners kind of jumping it a little bit. Like, McCarthy's still learning how to do that and how not to do that. But ultimately, like, heading over to this last play, McCarthy played well in this game. And the main thing he did well was just this. It's zone coverage, play action, bootleg towards the bottom of the screen. McCarthy takes the snap, fakes the handoff, looks in that direction, fires in that direction. Addison makes the grab, turns the corner, picks up a 1st down. Again, not the highest degree of difficulty stuff, but just running the offense. And if McCarthy can do that, this Vikings team, even if they went out, they're 9-8, that they probably are not going to make the playoffs. Even with 10 wins, it's looking tough in the NFC. Certainly 9's almost certainly not going to happen. But for years to come, you're trying to figure out what you have in McCarthy, and if he can just simply run an offense like this, it does make you feel like perhaps you could still have something. Because again, part of why they made the move to go with McCarthy instead of Sam Darnold is the contract thing. It's McCarthy, but you're also saving like $35 million a year with this situation. So because you have that advantage, you can add more pieces as long as he can run the offense. So he doesn't have to be better than Darnold for this move to work, but he has to be better than he was the past month or so, and he was against Washington. Now you're going to play the Cowboys, who have been kind of an up-and-down defense as of late, the Giants, the Lions, and the Packers. So interesting kind of slate to finish for McCarthy, but this is definitely one that he kind of had to have to give the Vikings some hope for him for next year. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on McCarthy and how he played and all of that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.